Hello everyone, my name's Rick Janzen. Welcome to my fly bench. Today's fly pattern is a dandy. Originally tied to be a searching pattern, it has worked to great success from the Kootenays through the Merritt and Kamloops area and up to the Caribou and Chilcotin. It was given to me by one of my followers on YouTube, a man by the name of Sam Sapernoff, and he got it from his brother Grant when they were members of the Hague Brown Fly Fishers in Victoria. It's a simple pattern to tie, just a matter of getting the proportions right, and that comes with a little practice. So let's take a look at the materials you're going to need to tie the damsel in distress. Okay everybody, into my vise I've got a Togen's number 12 2x long curved nymph hook. The original pattern called for a Tiemco number 12 2x long, but I didn't have those in supply, so I went with what I've got, and I believe it turns out a very handsome looking fly. For my tying thread I'm going with 70 denier brown to match the brown of the marabou. And I'm going to start the thread just a little bit forward. If this is halfway here, I'm just going to go a little bit forward of halfway on the hook. And I'm just trying to get that marked into place there. I start in a very specific place because I want it to demarcate the line between the abdomen and thorax. So I want the abdomen to end at the front of my thread there and the thorax to begin. That's why I've got it started right in that spot. I'm going with medium oval gold tinsel. This is the French braid tinsel. This is the, they had gold braid on there, which is very similar to this. And I believe this does a fantastic job of doing the same thing, adding that flashy rib. So I'm going to tie that down on my side of the hook there. Just start it in here, and then come down my side of the hook to opposite the barb. Once you get that in place, we'll get our first body material in there, body and tail, and that consists of the brown marabou. So this is supposed to represent a leech attacking a damsel nymph, if you can believe it. And whether the trout see it as that or not, who knows, but they do take it with relish. So I'm going to tear off a good chunk of that, probably close to an inch off of there. I want a fairly robust tail and body. And so I'm just gathering that up, and then I'm going to tie it in as a tail. And we're going to bring that back there and tie that in as a fairly long tail, because we can always pinch it to length afterwards if we want to shorten it. Now that I've got the tail secured, I'll bring my thread back forward to my tie-in point right there, and then we're going to wind that marabou around to form our abdomen. A nice bushy abdomen, going to pulse and breathe in the water really beautifully, and then we're going to tie that off right there at the same point. Cut it short, the tag end, and we're going to give that a half hitch to secure that all in place. Don't want that going anywhere, because I'm going to be fiddling with the gold oval tinsel now. So again, I'm going to give a first wrap here, just where I tied it in at the tail, and then I'm going to rib it forward, and I'm going to kind of stroke those fibers out and dance this through there. So I'm going to take my time, and it's worth taking your time, for the effect is a really handsome fly, well balanced, very effective. So take your time with your your gold tinsel, stroking those fibers forward and away perpendicular so they're not getting caught. And there we go. And the number of wraps is probably not that important. Anywhere from 3 to 5 is going to work. 3, 4, or 5 wraps, and you'll be set to have a good looking pattern. So I believe I've got 4 wraps in there now. I'm going to couple in front to lock it in place. I'm going to cut off that gold tinsel. Got some excess marabou there. So we've got basically our abdomen tied in. Now again, it's not a difficult fly to tie, it's just a matter of getting the proportions right. And this first proportion here is an important one. You want enough room up there for a robust thorax and to get your legs and shell back in there. You don't want to be crowding that eye. So I'm coming in with natural pheasant tail here and a fairly good clump of them. I'm talking about, 12 to 15 fibers off the shank of your feather there, and a fairly good chunk, maybe almost a ½ inch. I'm just stroking them to get them to the same length there, as you can see. Now once I've got them kind of lined up, I turn the tips around and point them forward, and I want to point them forward. I want to extend beyond the eye of the hook probably at least a ½ inch. And so I'm going to bring my thread forward now to just behind the eye, and then get my feathers lined up there with the right length and give it a soft loop. Bring that down, and then bring my tying thread back in tight turns back to the thorax and abdomen meeting point, or original tie-in point there. There we go. We've got a nice tie-in point there. Just stroking that last little bit of tinsel into place. Now the formation of the thorax is, you can go with various colors here. It's a hot point, a flash point to draw the fish's attention. Some have gone with orange. Lime green was the original pattern. I got this sample pack from Togans of prism dubbing in yellow, and you'll see the color is beautiful, and I think it does a pretty good job of replicating that lime green. And I like the look of it, so that's the color I'm going with. I'm using a little dubbing wax here, spreading some on the thread, and I'm going to form a noodle here, just forming a noodle of the prism dubbing. It's a beautiful dubbing, and it really works well. I mean, it works, like it's a dubbing that actually works with you instead of fighting you. And I want to form a good noodle there because I want a fairly fat thorax. I want it to stand out a little bit. So we're going to go back to the tie-in point and then forward. Now we've got nice kind of little ball forming there. That's what we're looking for, that kind of ball shape to stand out from the abdomen area. At this point we can go ahead and divide these legs as close to as half and half as possible on either side. And I'm holding them back there just to give them some memory so that when I let go they don't just automatically spring forward again. There, and they're starting to divide. Now I'm moistening the fingers of my left hand, pulling them back and down, and I'm forming a head. Now these are going to help hold those legs in place. And you see we've got some working space there, which is looking good. And I'm just trying to position those legs now for the last bit. And now we're going to take this tag end now of our pheasant tail, bring it forward as our shell back, and this will also help hold those legs in place. A fairly nice thick shell back on here, and we're pulling that tight as I come over with the thread, and you can see it perfectly sets those legs right in place. And now that I've got a half a dozen wraps on there, I can cut that off, and we're going to give this a little bit of Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails to help cement that head in place. And I like to hold the thread up above it as I do it, so those drips drip down into the head, and they run down the thread into the head there. Now we've got that glued. We're going to whip finish with about 4 or 5 turns of the whip finish, and we've got our fly almost complete here. I'm going to snip off my thread. I think I've got my legs well positioned. I'm just going to shorten that tail just a smidge. I just want to bring it down a little bit so it's not excessively long. There we go. And we've got our damsel in distress. As I look at this fly from different angles, I'll see if there's any dubbing like that one there that I just want to yank off a little shorter. And we've got our legs, we've got our tail, we got our abdomen and thorax and our ribbing. Just got a few stray fibers there I like to get rid of when they're just excessively long. I don't mind bushiness from that thorax region, but I just don't want them competing with legs for the length. Gorgeous looking fly, a great searching pattern, used everywhere from the Kootenays through Merritt and Kamloops area up to the Chilcotin and Caribou. And I can't wait to put this one in the water next spring when I don't know which hatch is going on, or I'm trying to search a new lake and figure out where they might be biting and get the first throat pumped. And so if you enjoyed this pattern, I ask you to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please consider sharing this video with your friends who might benefit by it or find it interesting. And have a safe time on the water. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.